Alrighty, so let's just do some very basic sort of drawing on order flow. Just going to stick to one time frame. If you just kind of get your minds to sort of getting used to seeing it. So let's kind of zoom into some old price action over here, right? So I'm not going to bother drawing on swing structure and internal structure and labeling charts and all this thing. I'm literally just going to draw it on from supply and demand ranges, and we'll dive into kind of the more like proper chart walkthroughs a little bit. So let's just start here, right? We can clearly see from the low to the highest break range, right, to the upside. So that gives us a demand range. We have a range, initiation, mitigation, and a so for demand range, the price initiates out. Gives a back. That break, we would be looking to gate refined demand, right? And this order flow is continuing because mitigated the right. So, oops, to the low, drag it across from where it breaks, and then we get that initiation out. Now, see smaller and larger ranges too, where order flow can get high where it breaks out. Then what happens? If you draw from my box, right, you can draw it from the high to the low to the high. Obviously, that doesn't make it to the downside. It breaks to the downside. It actually breaks there. Right, so and then it breaks out to the downside. So that should. Now, at this point, mitigated, right? Pullback is going to happen. We could hypothesize, right, or have to be aware of, we created the supply and broken this time slightly larger, and then you can even see the fractal supply. It was just there. So at this point, although we can start to see that at a little bit of a, and we've come into here, we have to be wary that potentially that slightly low order flow could have continued we use. But then once we actually break out of this, right, now it's in control. At this bullish is if you follow a series of mitigation range here, and then we come down. So once that low there goes down, those clearly failed control, right, and now higher that to where it breaks out, and then again, you see how it comes up, mitigates the range and out, and then we have the low to the high. And obviously we know that typically look for to from, right? But visualize without even drawing structure on, you can see that. Structure shows up drawing on these large ranges. And then again, from the low to the high, what does it do? It pulls back, mitigates this new supply range. Since that's what do we do? Pull back into the end, we break out, and obviously there's smaller ranges in here and stuff, but let's just kind of focus on these for now. All right, so to the high, and we have this range. I'm drawing a few more, so you guys can kind of what happens is character, so we can draw low to the high, keep it nice and we're in demand range, right? So then we break up the upside, and then from this low, well, we bring this in, draw from low to the high, drag across, where does it break out to the downside? So now supply is back in control. Quicker drawing this, and then again, all right, back up. Mitigate that supply. So this high, you see how that was just one larger range, right? For price, smaller ranges within. And you got this, okay, but the side. Okay, so you draw from to the low from the leg. You can see that this was just one demand range, right? So you can rein that in a bit then. And you can see prices just coming back to get this demand range. That was going to happen. Yeah. You can see how it can be quite fractal. We break this high here, because this was still in control, so we didn't know it was going to break out. Shares price comes because look, you got that movement, that movement, that movement, that movement. Then it breaks out range. Some of these price. And you got that movement there, and you got this push, right? And then we would still say. So that's the fear that now we can say, okay, that supply range. And now we get rid of these orange lines. You'll see we now have that order flow. So this would be, you change the character, right? So that's your back. But then this here would be, right? And it's only when you get the larger structure was in control. Potentially this is your swing structure, right? It's the same, all the same thing, right? And the concept that we're looking at in terms of from the high range. So I'll draw. So high time frame demand from high to the low, drag it across the broken, right? And then we can rein this pretty, and then you have your next pullbacks. So we initiate out there, and then we continue. From the sustained bullish the high breaks to the upside, so we have that sustained bullish order flow, right? And then what's happened? We've now come prior a bit to that. We've come in range here. Let's just leave it nice and open. So then what happens? So then we break down here, right? So now we have there, we can keep it right, and then you have your larger supply range. Sorry, mitigated range, right? And then you have smaller ranges get shifted because obviously you've got when you get that change of character here, that actually you know, now we're going to see a bit of a movement, but to swings as well, right? This big movement down, and that'll be your pullback into here. So although we've had a change of character here, might be a swing boss, that could be your eye boss, but it's just to facilitate what? A protected high. That's your weak pullback. To the downside. What happens when you get those pullbacks? You get a shift in the internal. To get these extremes, and then we ended up switching. All right. Activate that next. Larger range. So on so forth. And you can kind of see how that happens. So we have bullish order flow. You can have little shifts. Like here, because the daily boss, so what do we expect after a daily break of structure? We expect to come in and mitigate the supply rate 4 hour, then switch bullish, and you get sustained bullish order flow against what? The prior supply range. The entire range. Then the 4, and then what do we have? Then we have, whoops. What happens if I take this pullback? And then then we can take out this week low and we continue, right? So you can kind of see the fractal nature. You can see this. And this is what I mean by, like, in the other video, the trading view literally froze on one time frame, no matter what time frame it was. If you zoom out, and you can make sense of the largest price, right? Supply range. And then you get the next day. Get private range, pushes down, right? And then pulls back up to get the prior range. Daily swing low, right? Daily swing high. Daily swing low. Daily high. That's done. You got another daily swing range and it comes. Right? That would be, say, your daily structure. 4 hour structure. Lower low, is bullish there. Ends up being a on the 4 hour chart. Back to mid bearish again. 4 hour lower high, lower low. And then we switch bullish. Just swinging here. Yeah. Daily switch bullish one. That's the daily protected or strong high to then continue that movement down. And then that shift in all the bearish ranges taken out. Right? Break a structure. So this is daily high, 4 hour then switches bullish. What? To facilitate our range doesn't. This time it just taps. Just bearish. Order flow on the 4 hour shifts bearish. And the ranges get respected. That's low taken out. And then we continue. You know, so forth, and you can start. Go for it, like practice. You know, just see range, and we continue bearish order flow, dailies and price. Really sometimes help you to multi-time frame analysis if you kind of struggle with that. A small range within here. Back into it at the current time and price. And even within, right, what do we have? We have those internal in order flow. High. We break. Continue at the low. And then smaller ones, you know, obviously get. Sorry, I'm not using my brain and what the points I'm trying to. Ranges within range. In this instance, smaller. weekday low here, right? That larger range. It's not even the supply range holds, and again that range. On so forth. Right? It's not always going to be perfect. You get disruption of the order flow there. Order flow is a little bit than just structure on its own. But yeah, I'll leave it there. We'll dive into some sort of advanced in the next lesson. The way, then we'll do much more in-depth kind of piece this together with our day-to-day trading. But at this point, kind of just wanted for you guys to get a quick visualization of how we draw these ranges on, and you can kind of see those in order flow. Like, you know, spend more on this. I just don't want this to be like a video. It's like, even within that green pullback, what do we have? We have so on order flow, it's disrupted, and then we go for the week high, bearish, until we take out the overall week low, right? Is now done, and now we're getting the push down. So yeah, that's as many times as you need to.